Hi friends, Shayla here, and it's time to do an unhaul. So as you can see, my background has changed because I did a massive move around in my library to better condense things, create some more room. I'm starting to run out of room very swiftly, so I needed to do some rearranging, and I've been able to buy myself some room and put things out where they wouldn't normally be and things. A whole manga collection tour will be coming soon. And then if you guys want a library tour of my other shelves, let me know in the comments down below and I will start working on that. But today we're here to get rid of things. So I've got some manga here, I've got books here, and a lot of them I just know I'll never reread, and by the time I would have any children that are teenagers, they could either get it at the library or it's going to be so outdated it's never going to matter. So if I haven't bought the sequel or continued on in the manga series within the last year, as long as like the next book was available, I'm pretty much getting rid of it. There's a couple exceptions to that, but honestly, that's just because I haven't gotten around to picking those up because I had all of these. So anyways, let's dive in. We're going to start with the manga and then go into the books because there's less manga than books. And yes, I think it'll just go faster because a lot of them are series. So first up, I have Astra Lost in Space. I enjoyed this when I read it. I think it's a great shonen. It's short. It's a fun space adventure. And if you like space adventures, I do recommend reading it. If my library had had the option to check it out, I probably would have gone that route. But I did genuinely enjoy it, and I do think it's good. It's a good story. So next up, I have the first 3 volumes of Pokemon Adventures. I've decided if I'm going to revisit this series, I'm going to buy the newer releasing options that are better made and not as old as these. So I honestly don't think I'll continue, and if I do, I'll probably continue digitally. But yeah, these are more real life Pokemon adventures, like the Pokemon actually get injured and things like that where you see it. And yeah, so yeah. Next up is one that I debated for a long time, but it is the 3 volumes of Your Name. I love this movie so very much, rewatch it fairly often, but I find myself not revisiting the manga after I've had it on my shelf for years. So I think if I'm ever going to revisit the story, I'm going to choose to do it in the colored video form rather than the black and white manga form. So I'm going to send these on. Next up, I have the first 2 volumes of Yotsuba. This was cute and I enjoyed it when I read it, but I've never felt inclined to continue. So I think I'm just going to pass these on and let someone else enjoy the fun shenanigans of Yotsuba. Next on the list is one that surprised me that I had enjoyed it as much as I did, but that is Real Account. This is like Hunger Games meets social media, I think is kind of the easiest way to describe this particular series. So if you like the more intense thriller-y kind of things, you'll probably enjoy this. Next up is The Delinquent Housewife. I have officially decided to send these on. I liked it fine when I read it, but it was not a favorite for me. So I'm opting to send these on and hopefully someone will get some enjoyment out of the series more so than I did. Next is another one that I debated for a bit, but I know I'm not going to reread it, so I'm going to let it go, and that is The Wise Wise Beasts of the Wizarding Wisdoms. Now, this is a short story collection. About half of the stories in the collection I really enjoyed. They're usually like, I believe they're all BL stories, but there are some tropes in here that are very questionable to me. So it's not something that I necessarily want on my shelves. Am I mad I read it? No. Is the art fantastic? Yes. I just can't get behind the icky things. Next up is another one that I debated for a while, but I know I'm not going to revisit it because I still remember it really well. And that is Stupid Love Comedy. So this is about a man who's used to editing seinen manga, getting put in the shoujo department with this kind of chaotic shoujo mangaka. And it's about them working together and kind of having a small romance. And it's cute. I liked it. It's not something I still want, as funny as that sounds. I got ruthless with my collection when I was doing this. So I do have Perfect World Volume 3 here. It's a duplicate, so that's why that's going And then I do have Makeup is Not Just Magic. I do think this will be a helpful tool to someone else, which is why I want to send it on. As a cosmetologist, I was very curious about this, and yeah, I'm just going to send it on. It does have some great tips, especially if you're a beginner when it comes to like makeup and skincare, or you haven't really done it but you want to because you're getting older and noticing things you don't like. This is a great help. But I have years of cosmetology training that covered more than that, so that's where I'm at with that. This one's actually a light novel, but there is a manga coming out of it. I'm not sure if it's releasing yet. And that is Woof Woof Story. I Told You to Turn Me into a Pampered Pooch, Not Fenrir. It was fine. The writing was a bit disjointed, but the art was cute. So I think in a manga form, it would work really well. Next up, we have Wave Listen to Me. I did a whole try 3 on this. I'll leave that in the corner. Next is Fruits Basket Another. As you can see right, oh, it's a little lower. It's right on my lower part. But I am keeping the regular Fruits Basket, but Fruits Basket Another just didn't do it for me. I did not enjoy. And last but not least, I may hang on to, but it's most likely going to go, and that is Clockwork Planet. I read these 3 a long time ago, so what I might do is do kind of a follow-up try 3 to read these again to see if I really do want to continue or if I'm okay to let them go. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know down below, or I might just do it off camera. All right, so that is it for the manga. Let's start diving into the book unhauling. So first up here, we have Dark Fever by Karen Marie Moning. If I'm going to continue the series, I'm just going to do it digitally, or I'm going to check them out from the library. And this copy's like cut and all sorts of a mess, so we're just going to like let this go. I might save the pages for like my bullet journal to kind of tear up since it's already a damaged copy. I don't know. Next we have City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I've not been interested in continuing this one. So though I enjoyed this first book, the whole series is complete and I still don't have a desire to finish it because I just don't care enough. So I think I'm going to pass this one on. My husband was not interested in any of these that I'm getting rid of, by the way. So he did go through. Next up is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. Again, another one that I enjoyed when I read it, but I never felt that desire to continue, so there's no sense in keeping it on my shelf. Next is Lucky Caller by Emma Mills. I only kept one of the Emma Mills that I've read because this one's fine. I just don't see myself revisiting it. And then the other one was really disappointing to me, so that'll come up later. I'm not sure where. It's in here somewhere. But yes, Lucky Caller is going to go. I debated long and hard about this, but I have decided to get rid of my Hazelwood books. So the Hazelwood and the Night Country, I did enjoy them again when I read them, but they're not ones I'm going to revisit, and I didn't enjoy them enough to read them again. So yes, I'm going to let these go. And I do have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition on the Night Country. Next is The Wolf by Leo Karu. Again, I think this one has 2 or 3 books out in the series now, but I've not been interested in continuing, so I'm going to let this one go. This is very much a political fantasy. It's a little too dark for my personal taste. The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I, again, didn't enjoy this enough to ever continue or to pick up another copy, and this one's kind of mangled, but I'm still going to send it on and let somebody who wants to enjoy it. Next is kind of an unpopular opinion, but that is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I have no interest in continuing on in the series. I liked this book fine. I didn't love it as much as most people on BookTube, and I'm just going to let it go. I can't keep holding on to things because people are going to judge me for that. The next one is kind of a similar thing here, and that is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making. I have had no desire to continue this story. I don't think I'm a big fan of Valente's writing. Anything I've tried by her, I'm like, I always end up more confused than enjoying it. So I'm going to let this one go. Another one that I might get some hate for, but I didn't enjoy as much as other titles, is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I know this is a BookTube darling, and for its time, it was great, but it's one of those things where there are better LGBT stories out there for me that I've enjoyed a lot more, and I didn't enjoy this as much as a lot of other people, so I'm gonna let this one go. And it's not because it's a bad book. It's just it didn't resonate as well with me. And that's not because it's a gay love story. I read plenty of gay love stories. The writing just didn't connect with me as well on this one. Next up is The Roar by A.M. White. This is one that I got in an indie book subscription that I was a rep for a while. I enjoyed it, but again, I haven't had any desire to continue. I haven't had any desire to revisit, so I'm just gonna let it go. And then we got The Loveliest Chocolate Shop in Paris. This is cute. I enjoyed it when I read it. Not gonna revisit it. It's kind of like one of those, I like to call them beach reads, where you read them and you enjoy them when you read them, but after you put them down, you have no desire to pick them up again because, you know, it's like a vacation book. All right, here's the other mmls that I'm getting rid of. And if you've been around my channel for a bit, you probably won't be surprised by this, but it is Famous in a Small Town. This was pitched as one that centered a lot around a marching band. It definitely doesn't. And being someone who loves marching band and went into this expecting marching band was very, very disappointed. And then this copy of The Once and Future King, I don't even remember where I got it. I got it as a kid. And, you know, there are much better editions out there if I want to revisit it. And there are great Arthurian-inspired books out there, too. So, next is Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune by Roselle Lim. Again, it was fine while I read it, but I know I'm not going to revisit it. This one is A Boy and His Dog at the End of the World by C.A. Fletcher. Now, I did really enjoy this when I read it, but it's sad. And I don't love to revisit sad books very often. And this one is good enough that I do think someone else will genuinely enjoy it. It's kind of a sci-fi dystopic about a boy and his dog at the end of the world. The title's pretty self-explanatory. And it was a really gripping story. I gave this 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. I might keep this. Like, the more I think about it, the more I might keep it and revisit it. So this one might not end up in the stack, but it might. If you have an opinion, tell me. Would Like to Meet by Rachel Winters. Again, this was really cute when I read it, and it was sweet, and it was fun, but it's one that I don't think I want to revisit, so I don't necessarily want to keep it in my collection. But again, it's another one I'm kind of on the fence about, so if you think I should keep it and revisit it and more thoroughly review it or something, let me know. The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. I just know I'm never going to read this again, and it was a fun enough series that I know there's going to be somebody out there who will love it. Next is The Return by Nicholas Sparks. I was sent this from Grand Central, and I flipped through it a bit, and some of the stuff that was talked about I just didn't enjoy, so I'm going to let this go. Next is Frankly in Love by David Yoon. I do have the really nice one with the blue sprayed edges from Barnes & Noble. And this book just fell flat for me, and I don't think it's because I'm an adult and this is written for teens. Like, even teenage Shayla wouldn't have enjoyed this book as much as some people have. The fake dating thing was just meh. Like, it just kind of fell flat for me. I'm not saying it's bad, it was just a me thing. And then I've got Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. Again, another one I really enjoyed, gave a solid 4. But this is an important book that I think other people need to read as well. And I would rather see this in a library than sitting on my shelf collecting dust. Same thing for Challenger Deep. I do think this book is incredibly important, but it's better served in a library that people will visit often than my personal library. But it is a great book. Next up is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I honestly enjoyed the movie better than I enjoyed the book, so I'm just going to rewatch the movie. Next is The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. Clearly I had a lot of thoughts, not all of them good. I have no desire to continue on in the series, so I'm going to let this one go. Next is The Midnight Lie by Marie Rukowski, and I didn't really enjoy any of the characters in this particular one. And I wasn't interested enough in the plot to continue, so here we are. Next is another one that I didn't end up enjoying, even though it's a booktube darling, and that is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I was just kind of bored reading this. There are way better fantasy romances out there than this one, so I'm just gonna live and love in those worlds. Next is The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. And with this one, again, the series has been finished for years, and I've just never gotten around to picking up the other 2 books, so it's time to let this one go. Speaking of Marie Rukowski, I have also decided to get rid of the Winners trilogy, and I do have the pretty dress covers rather than the newer covers. So we have The Winner's Curse, The Winter's Crime and The Winter's Kiss. So if you've been looking for these covers, hit me up. Next is Dragon Haven by Robin McKinley. This one was just fine. It's a fun little YA with dragons. And again, it's just another one I know I'm never going to revisit. I've got better Robin McKinleys on my shelf. Next we have Dragonfly by Leela Meekum. I was sent this one for review, and again, it's another one that I really enjoyed. It is a World War II historical story, definitely has some romantic elements to it, and I just think this will be better served in a library than sitting on my shelf collecting dust. Next is The Walking Land by Callie Bates. I don't remember anything about this book, and it's been finished on my shelf for like 2 years, and I know there's like 3 or 4 more books out in this series, so it's just time to go. Next up is Gunslinger Girl by Lindsay Eli. Again, this is another one that I liked while I read it, and I held on to it for a while, hoping there would be a sequel, but I've never seen one. If there is one, let me know, and I'll hang on to it. But yeah, like, it might stay. I don't know. I don't know if I'll reread it. Maybe I'll put it in my reread stack instead. I've got a stack of Harlequins here that were fun when I read them, but I just know I'm not going to reread them. So we have The Greeks' Penniless Cinderella, Billionaire's Wife on Paper, In Bed with the Rancher, The Greeks' Surprise Christmas Bride, Christmas Contract for His Cinderella, and Temptation at Christmas. Again, they were fun, but I don't want to keep them. And then we've got A Rogue by Night by Kelly Bowen. Again, I really like this series, but I have the rest of them digitally. I think I even have this one digitally, so I'm just going to continue to collect it digitally because I have to make hard and fast choices about the size of my collection, so that's what I'm doing with this one. Then I've got The Reckless Bride by Stephanie Lawrence. I read this. I did not really enjoy the execution of this particular one. There was some really shady consent stuff going on with this one, so for this one, I'm not going to keep it. And then Her Night with the Duke by Diana Quincy. Y'all know my feelings on this. I did not enjoy this, like most people on BookTube, so it's gonna go. Next I have The Shop on Main Street by Carolyn Brown. Again, this is another one that I enjoyed enough when I read it, but I'm not gonna reread it, so I'm gonna send it on. Then I've got Blue Christmas by Mary Kay Andrews. I tried to read this and it felt preachy, so I'm just not. Next are a couple of books that I had gotten in my reveal book box, but I've decided I don't want to continue on in the series that they're in. So we've got The Lumberjack Effect by J.W. Ashley. This has a surprise baby. And then we've got Assassin's Mark by Ella Sheridan. And this one, I just want to read it digitally rather than have physicals. So these are signed because they came in reveal. So if you are interested in them, let me know. Y'all are going to hate me for this, but it's the Shadow and Bone series. I'm never going to revisit them. I have kept the Six of Crows duology because I really enjoyed those, but I'm not going to read these again. Like, I'm just going to let them go. So I have A Question of Trust by Carol Thane. This is a, like, fairly clean murder mystery. It's pretty old at this point. I had picked up a copy just after high school, and yeah, like, I haven't revisited it since, and I have no desire to, so it's gonna go. I've got the Blue Moon Narthex by N.J. Donner. I enjoyed this when I read it. This is an indie pub YA fantasy, and I just don't have any desire to continue. Like, another one that might surprise some people is Coral by Sarah Ella, and this is the last one for this unhaul. This one is kind of borderline triggering to me with my depression and anxiety, so I've decided to let this one go, but it is a beautifully written book, and I'm definitely going to pick up more by this author throughout my reading experiences, but this particular one is not one that I'm going to revisit, so I'm not going to keep it in my collection. As you guys can see, I got pretty ruthless. This is a long video. I know I have stuff to cut out, but yes. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.